Welcome to Friends and Enemas. I'm your host, Lindsay, and who do I have with me?
Natalie, Avni.
Natalie. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. The fact that you said yes, like, I don't know, I got like fangirl. That's the best way to put it.
Well, same, girl.
See, I mean, seriously, like, I've loved you for so long, and like, I feel like we've been online friends.
We have.
And so last time I was in Miami, I couldn't see you.
Yes.
So it's really nice that I could take a trip out.
Same.
See you.
I'm so happy to see you first.
person.
And then this.
And then this.
First seeing
Exactly.
Love it.
So for listeners that may not know you, which I don't know how they wouldn't, but can you tell them who you are, what you do?
Yes. So I am a wife and a mom of 3, and I am an OBGYN sonographer / ultrasound. So that's like ultrasound tech. My first job is being the mom and the wife, 100%. I always say that first. But so I'm an ultrasound tech, and I also create content around all of that, like humor, skits, real life things, advice for, all the students who want to become ultrasound techs, and that's what I do.
I love that. That's why I have you on, because I actually get a lot of questions like, what other opportunities are there in healthcare besides nursing?
Right.
And that kind of brings me to my first topic with you is like, what are things that you think ultrasound techs get mistaken for? Mm-hmm. Or do you guys feel like you're forgotten at all? Because I didn't know this because I'm a nurse.
Right.
But sometimes I'll do skits about nursing,
mm-hmm.
and RTs or respiratory therapists mm-hmm. will come on and say, oh, I wish, like, they feel forgotten. Right. And I'm like, I didn't know that. It makes me sad.
I don't know. Like, I don't think I use the word forgotten, but I feel like, when patients talk and when I hear patients or people that oh my God, like, you won't believe this girl did an ultrasound for me and the doctor told me that he found this and this on me. And I'm like, he found in my head, it's something that I will never, it's just like, I wish people understood the process of like what we do. Cause unfortunately in school, we're taught to be like, you can't give results. Mm-hmm. And the speech would be like, oh, I only take pictures. I don't give results. And then I feel like that, that belittles what we do, because we take pictures, but we take about maybe 30 minutes to find what is going on with the patient. And then we take those pictures to prove to the doctor, here, this is the mass, or here, this is what we found. And then the doctor gives the results. And then people are like, yeah, the doctor found this, So I feel like maybe that is where it's forgotten, other than the fact that, obviously people see a girl in scrubs and they're like, oh, she's a nurse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't feel like nurses would get mistaken for ultrasound techs. I feel like it's always the other way around. And that's where it is. Now, does it bother me? No, it never bothered me. But I know a lot of techs that, were like, oh my God, we're always forgotten or whatever, because I know that I do this for myself. Mm-hmm. Like, it makes me like feel good when I go home. Like when I have a rough day because I found a miscarriage or I found something sad, like I go home knowing that I comforted this patient and I did everything I could for her. And yes, I found the miscarriage and maybe I prevented something worse happening for the baby or for her, but I don't go saying, oh my God, the patient probably thinks that it's the doc. I don't worry about it, because it fulfills me, and this is why I still do this. Because
that's cool. That's really inspiring, I feel like, for a lot of people, because like you said, like from a nurse's point of view, I never want to make someone feel like forgotten. Right. So I feel like whenever I have people in my comments or they DM me and they're like, next time you could add us, no one ever talks about us. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I think it's more so I'm not in your field. And so I don't think that way.
I know. But honestly, I think that comes from also a place where a lot of, in general, people, healthcare professionals are not appreciated at their job, like at their physical job. Like, I feel like this is why I've been there it's almost 11 years that I've been at the same office. Yeah. And it sounds so corny, but I truly love what I do. I truly love my environment because I feel appreciated. And that's all that I'm a very much like a words of affirmation person, but not like, you're doing amazing, like not to make myself, because that's all I need. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm doing a good job, because I judge myself on like what I do so many times. Yeah. And that's when the comments come in place where like, just now this week, I put a TikTok about a mom who was notified that at 36 weeks she needs to schedule a C-section because the baby is breech. I didn't support it. I didn't say anything. I didn't promote that.
Right.
She has to schedule a C-section. Is the baby going to turn? Yes, the baby can turn head down, but the protocol in a lot of offices is to schedule it, and then it can change. We can do a version. We can do so much for this patient, but I got attacked about promoting this and can you include breech presentation deliveries? There's so many risks with that, and not a lot of doctors in the US do this.
Yeah.
But that's when I feel I shouldn't pay attention so much to the comments, but it makes me second guess, did I do the right thing sometimes? But I learn from it. Because the next time I'll maybe think about a different wording and there's just a way to say things. And sometimes, like you said, can you include, this is my page.
Right.
Right now, I thought about creating something along these lines, but it's depends how they say it. If it's a DM, then I'll appreciate it maybe more.
Me too.
We try to get to as much DMs as we can as creators, but I learn from that too. It's better than embarrassing me in public.
Right. I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So,
and it seems more intimate, more personal. They care about you just a little bit more.
And I really do check my DMs as much as I can. I just, because I want to learn from people, and I want to learn, and a lot of my followers give me ideas too. So it's my audience understands, connects to me, and I learn from that. So
no, yeah. I feel like I talk about this a lot with any creator I interview, that sometimes people take your 7-second video and create a whole life scenario about you. And it's guys, it's a 7-second video. It's sometimes not even real. A lot of my skits I make up from things I've heard.
Right.
And so I'm you got it. It's not that deep.
Right. Laugh. People.
Laugh. Or don't and go away.
Right.
We don't have the same humor, and that's fine. But
I know. It's hard. That part is, I had a whole group created against me because I've posted about seeing a prolapse for the first time. And I had reels created from different creators who have prolapse, from different, creators or just followers who had prolapse, and my video was about a student seeing a prolapse for the first time. If you see a prolapse for the first time, your eyes would be bulge. Yes. So that's all I did, because I do create for students too, and I was basically, according to them, shaming women who have that.
Stop.
A group was created, and I was told that on Facebook people are saying how can women do this? How can creators do this? People are so ashamed by it.
Oh my dude.
And obviously, if you know me and you've followed me, you know that this is not ever something that I could ever do.
Right.
But people are out to get you.
Yep.
People behind the keyboard. Yep. This is probably the best thing they have to do, unfortunately. And that's how you got to take it with grace and smile.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. Yeah. I feel like you said just a second ago, you said, you can even get inspiration from these hateful comments. So sometimes, yes, I agree. Reading them, maybe taking note, okay, that's not how I meant it.
Right.
But was it true to me? If it was true to me, okay, move on.
Right.
I'm big on the whole impact versus intention.
100%.
I agree with it. However, I also think that sometimes people have good hearts, and how their brain works might be different than how your brain works.
Right.
So their impact was big for some people.
Right.
And for some people, it hit wrong.
Right.
So impact versus intention, of course, I want the impact to be there, but the intentions are important too.
Right.
You know?
Right. 100%.
I don't think you're a bad person and also a prolapse, okay, my clinical in L&D, I knew immediately I didn't want to be an L&D nurse. I'm serious.
I was laughing immediately because it's
I said, how on earth some of my friends were like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be an L&D nurse. This is amazing. And I was like, I know that's checked off my list immediately of what I don't want to do.
Right.
Me now, I think I could do it. However, that was the first time I ever saw birth. I ever saw the way our vaginas work. It's amazing. Of course, it's a miracle. We're strong. The fact that people call, and excuse my language, but the fact that people call people pussies, I'm like, have you seen one in action? Because that is,
swear to God,
it should be ball sacks or something. Because I was amazed and traumatized because I did not realize that our bodies do that.
Yeah.
But it's it's okay for us to say or have bulging eyes. That was my face behind a mask. I was like,
yeah,
I've never seen a live birth.
Right. 100%. And that's exactly what that piece of little 7-second content was.
Yes.
I was like, it's just like scary. A lot of things we see, you know, we're not prepared for in school. And then you go in real life and you're like,
yep. You go into the real world and you're like, wait a second. Okay, nobody actually taught me about that or told me what I was going to be witnessing.
Right. Even if you see it in a picture while studying for it.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. 100%.
It's not the same.
Right.
Are you comfortable with talking about your pay or lifestyle as a sonographer?
100%. Okay. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the questions I get in my DMs are about pay because people feel like, you know, it sounds like it doesn't pay so well. They don't understand that it does. So that's why I'm so passionate with like sharing it. So when I feel like obviously now the pay is a lot higher than it was when I graduated. So like 12 years ago, I started at like $31 an hour, which was great as a per diem too, because I felt like I did a lot more hours than ever as a per diem in the hospital. And now I'm pretty sure here in South Florida, because I hire as well, and I'm pretty sure the same in most South Florida, you can even start at $35 an hour straight out of school. So I mean what's that, like $70K a year about? Yeah. So I feel like this is an associate's degree. This is not even a bachelor's degree. It's a 2-year degree, but when you take your prerequisites first, and then clinicals, it could be 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Same with nursing than associates.
Yes. So I feel like, you know, for that's like incredible. Yeah. And you can do a shorter, you know, program, but a lot of the programs are not accredited. And I feel like that's where students like go for what's available. Like, oh my God, the wait list is long. So I found a school that does it and the wait list is shorter. Well, there's maybe a catch, because if you don't go to an accredited program, it's an accredited school, accredited program, you will have to work somewhere for a year before you can take your state exams.
Really?
So, or
they like probably don't tell you that. It's
no,
like in the fine print.
Right. I mean, I've definitely looked into a lot of schools that kept harassing me and calling me, hey, you're coming you want to come listen more about, you know, and I was like, okay, red flag. The school is calling me nonstop. Like, why is it doing that? Yeah. And then, you know, with that, there is an alternative where you take a longer test that a lot of people don't end up doing or passing, but I know there is a few people who do pass with it, and I'm amazed that people do this. But so when you go to an accredited program, you can literally sit for your boards while you're in the program now. And like if you study physics, you take a physics board, it's just easier, a smoother way to go.
That's interesting. So you graduated, you said 12 years ago, you started at $31 an hour. So I graduated school in 2018, started working as a new grad nurse in 2019 at $23.50 an hour. Wow. And that's in Oklahoma. Right. So maybe slightly different. However, I feel like cost of living is definitely lower in Oklahoma. But with inflation and things now, I bet sonographers then were making more.
It could be, definitely. I feel like COVID improved a lot of the pay for the nurses too. Yeah, a lot, a lot. And I think it's so well deserved. And I mean, I always say, like, I wish people would always say, "Are you going to continue to nursing?"
I have that on my notes.
You do?
To ask you about.
It's so common, and
it's kind of like them asking us, are you going to be a doctor?
Right. Are you going to continue to being a doctor? It's completely separate career choices and schooling programs. Like, and no. Yes, 100%. So I could never do what you do. And I think a lot of it is also like we do have a lot of similarities, I feel, but like, you know, we both have to deal with a lot of patient care and dealing with families and dealing with, you know, some kind of results. And I want to touch on the results thing because I feel like a lot of people are curious about ultrasound techs about that. But before that, like, I feel like it's definitely something that I couldn't do. I feel like the medication list, you guys have to remember that is one thing. And I thought that nurses deal with blood so much more than ultrasound techs. Little did I know until I passed out for the first time in my clinical rotations, because I saw a whole back opened and like fluid coming out, and I literally legit dropped to the floor as a student. Yes. Oh, I didn't know that we were going to deal this. They don't prepare you enough. No. So I'm preparing you. There is blood as an ultrasound tech.
I wouldn't have thought there would be. Yes. To be honest.
We guide procedures. We guide biopsies. You know, all the breast biopsies, thyroid biopsies, we guide them. The doctor needs us in order to see the mass, to see the nodules. So all that, the drainage of the fluid, like paracentesis, that's what I passed out from. Seeing the ooze it's not pleasant. Gross. So that you do see these things, but then you choose your career path. So now if I see blood, it's like vaginal. You know, it's not anything more than that.
Right.
But, and it's something that I'm completely, like, people are like, but I'm on my period. You want to do a transvaginal? Girl, I don't care if you don't care. I swear I don't. So it's like, you know, something that I try to make my patients comfortable, because I'd rather know what's going on with you right now and why you're bleeding so much right now than, you know, have you come back and it's not even, I'm not going to see the same signs.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's why I stayed away from nursing when I was first thinking about my career choice.
Yeah. I feel like this is a big reason why I wanted to talk to you, because I didn't know about, I knew that ultrasound techs were a thing. Right. Is that the correct term?
Yeah. Ultrasound or sonographers is like the more...
That sounds like a better term. Yeah, it sounds more professional.
It does, but a lot of people don't know it, and that's why I also get messages about that. Why are you saying ultrasound techs? You're a registered sonographer. I'm like, so many patients or people don't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to post about a sonographer. They won't find it relatable because they don't know what it is. So I try to interchange. Like,
but it's, even for me, I'm like, I had to look up before I got here just to double check that it was the same thing.
Right.
And I was like, okay, it is. It's the same thing. You're a sonographer, you're an ultrasound tech.
Right.
But I didn't realize that was even an option, because when you're going to school, I really, it's like, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a nurse, you want to be a dental hygienist, but I don't hear a lot about sonographers. Right. And you guys make good money for what you're doing, I think.
Right. 100%.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
100%.
And it seems like there's less stress.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because when I was a nurse tech, one of my friends, we were talking about nursing school. She was going to go, and then she ended up going to sonographer school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder why she did that. She's, I think, more happy than I was when I started out.
Yeah.
Because there's a less stress.
Right. So I feel like...
Not that you guys don't have stress.
Right. I was just going to say that. I feel like, you know, I don't want to ever say, if someone's looking into the career, I don't want to say that there's no stress. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the stress is here, especially like when I go home in the first year of being an ultrasound tech. Did I miss something? Did I measure it right? Did I say the right thing? Did I measure, or did I write the right things on the report? It's that stress, but working, it depends on your work setting. So this is where, like, you create a healthy environment for your work and setting the boundaries with your employer and all that. It's very important. In the hospital, I'm sorry, nobody gives a shit about like what you can tolerate, handle, or people come in the ER, this is what it is. You can call the on-call tech. And after I quit the hospital, I was an on-call tech for a while because I was like, how difficult can this be? Yeah. But when you're at the beach and you're, you know, you're like, oh, I'm never going to be called because, you know, there's full staff there. And then you get called and then you come back to chaos. Yeah. That also became like, I felt like that took away from my sanity and my, you know, I wanted to be with my family on certain days that I'm off. So the hospital setting is definitely more stressful, but I recommend 100% you all have to go work at the hospital for the first year. I feel like that's what made me know what I want. I would always jump and say, like, I want to go to L&D. Anytime an L&D order came through, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And it makes you, I didn't think I was going to want to be an L&D. I love the rush. I love the ER. I love the people, working with so many people. Like, I love that. But the rest was just too hard. I would come home after 12 hours and I would be like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I have to figure out. And I got lucky because a lot of times OBGYN sonographers need a lot more experience. I got, just a little story, I got caught into a very hard case with a uterine rupture of an 8-month pregnancy. And I didn't know what I was looking at first because I couldn't find the baby on the bottom. So it's very rare. I don't want to stress anybody out, but this is basically what gave me my job, because the doctor that was behind me, breathing down my neck, asking me, what am I seeing? Because he needs to know right now. When I told him that I think this is a rupture, he's like, that's exactly what I was thinking this is. Taking her to the OR right now. The trust went boom. And then he found me at the department after. And that's my boss till today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He's like, I would love to offer you a position part-time. And then I did that part-time with the ultrasound, with the hospital. And then that's when I got full-time after. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of grief there though, because I got bullied at that office for being 24 years old, not knowing what you're doing.
Don't get me started.
You know, instead, this is why I'm so passionate about taking in. I hire a lot of new grads because I feel like people forget what being a student is. People forget what being a new grad is. Take me under, teach me. And it takes just as much energy for you to show me the measurement of the fibroid correctly than to make fun of me to the doctors about how I did this wrong. Same energy.
That pisses me off.
Why?
Why? That is going to do more patient damage in the long run.
100%.
Than you putting your weird ass ego aside.
100%.
I hate bullies. Like, it enrages me. I've been bullied too. Also, I don't know what it is. It seemed, for me, this is my experience, it's typically older women.
Could be, yes.
And it's not always like that.
Right.
But my problem with this is you were once in my shoes.
They forget.
So what? Yes. Why would you ever want to treat someone or make them feel so isolated?
100%.
And I'm really glad you brought that up because bullying, I see on your page too, like, you don't tolerate it. You want to take new grads under your wing. Me too. I remember when I was a student going to clinical and the nurses would run and hide, and I'm like, guys, I don't want to follow you around like a puppy either. I don't want to look so dumb to you either.
Right.
And then every now and then I'd get someone that was just so kind. And I was
100%.
like, I'll never
forget you. Literally,
never.
I was going to say.
Yes.
Till today. I'm in touch with them till today.
Yes, same.
Love them for that.
I could never imagine treating someone the way I've been treated.
Right.
And then being like, no wonder nurses are leaving. I wonder why.
Right.
For me, number one is toxicity.
100% toxic environment. Yes. And it's like, we all do the same thing. Yeah. We all are here to diagnose patients to make it the best environment for them too. And this is also like a very much why when I interview techs for positions, I interview them for their personality first.
Yeah.
I can't change that you were born with it and you were raised with it, but I can make you a better tech. I can teach you how to become better if you feel like you're lacking this, but I'm going to be stuck with you for maybe the rest of my life until I retire here, because really it's hard to, like, when you find a good job, you stay. Like, this is just how it was. Like, I want to make sure that if you're happy with me, I would hope you would be happy. But in general, like, I want to get along with you too. I want to know that my patients are not, and that happened to me in the past, where our patients are like, oh, the other tech wasn't as bubbly as you, or she didn't give me enough pictures, or she wasn't as excited. You have to understand, and this is like for all techs who maybe don't love what they do anymore, and that happens, leave. Like, don't do it anymore. Yeah. Because I feel like this is the most vulnerable place. If you're a pregnant woman, if you're not pregnant, if it's a mom who's bringing her child to check the baby's spine by ultrasound, like, you need so much compassion in this job and such good bedside like manners, because this is we are their hope. We're going to see what's wrong with them.
Well, I can be
because really, like, and even like dealing with miscarriages, if I'm not a warm and fuzzy person, I can't become that.
Yeah.
Everybody handles with grief differently, but some need that hug and some need that cry with you, and some want the support. And this is where social skills come into place. You kind of read the patient, you kind of see how they're reacting with bad news, and you gotta cater to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where personality really comes into place.
That's honestly really smart. I feel like that's really cool that you get to be there for that and be the one interviewing these people.
Yes.
And also, like, imagine you're creating a healthy work environment.
Have to.
Right. And that's like number one. I really feel, and I've looked at research studies, and sometimes it's up there, sometimes it's not, but I really feel toxicity is the number one reason that nurses, specifically nurses, because that's who I can speak for, leave the bedside. 100%. And I'm like, if you guys would get rid of these hateful people, I've worked at several jobs in the past that management is the toxicity, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Just because they're saving the hospital money, that's why they get to stay.
Right.
And I'm like so against that, and I'm glad that I'm at a point in my life where I don't have to be at the hospital, so I don't have to deal with this bullshit. But I really want, like, that's one big reason I wanted you on the podcast, was so that we can tell other people, like, stop this hatefulness, stop bullying people. There's a way to teach people kindly, and
it's not
sarcastically.
It's not in.
Yeah,
it's not in. Supporting the text, yes, supporting, teaching, helping them grow, and honestly, it's gonna make your life easier as a lead tech. If your tech that's under you or beside you, however the dynamic works in that office, if she misses things, the doctor loses trust in that person, right? And then that gives you the ability, that gives you more work.
Yeah.
We want, let's say, Natalie to scan because last time Jessica missed this on this patient. So by helping your department grow, it's just going to make it also easier, and it's going to give more trust for the patient because it's just, and this is where I wanted to touch on results because I feel like a lot of people are, wondering what they're saying so many times. My tech hasn't spoken a word. The tech is just looking at the screen and not really associating with me. And I feel like a lot of times they need to know that it depends on where they work. So in a hospital, we cannot give results or even talk a lot to the patient. The screen has to be turned away. And a lot of patients come because they found out they're pregnant and they go to the ER. And then, yes, this is very common.
Interesting. Okay,
yes.
I didn't know that.
So they find out they're pregnant. They know it's going to take them a while to get into an OB/GYN office. So they go to the ER and, they I've seen this many times, not to call out a specific patient. It's something we see all the time. And then a lot of times they're like even 4 months pregnant and they want to know the gender and they think that we can just, give them all of this. But we have specific instructions. We will lose our job if we legit will. So in that setting, I never could ever say, results. And then in my office, in an OB/GYN office, they have a screen in front of them. So they see everything that's happening.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it again depends on where, but in my office, I do tell them like anything about the baby, that in 2 minutes, I'm going to go tell the doctor, everything's cool with this baby. So they're going to communicate that. I already have this connection with the doctors and the midwives, and they kind of have that trust with me that they know that everything we see as a team is, good, right? So in my office, you will get the everything's cool. Someone can ask me, do my ovaries look polycystic? I can say they do look polycystic, but I can't diagnose you with PCOS until we do blood work and we combine the rest. And that's a very common finding in women. And so that kind of varies because a lot of people are like, but you can't give results. How are you in the video, which is a skit, obviously. But, how can you like tell her what she's having twins? Yes, I will tell my patient if she's having twins.
But you have that. You have that guide, or you have the I can't think of
the approval, yes,
from the doctor too.
Yes,
and like you said in the ER, it's same thing with ICU.
Right.
If I am looking at a CT scan, I can read it, and I can read the impressions. I can read to the patient the impression.
Right.
That is not the diagnosis.
Right.
That is not the end result.
Right.
I think a lot of times patients, maybe one nurse has done that for them in the past, but it's strange. It's hard to navigate sometimes because I'm like, I can't read it to you. Well, where's the doctor? I don't know. The doctor's busy. I wish I knew. Believe me, I wish I could call them and they'd show up immediately, but that's not the case most of the time.
Right.
That's really cool though that like the stuff that you guys see.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier that when I was in clinical and I first saw L&D, I was like, absolutely not. I could never do that. That doesn't sound fun to me.
Right.
Me now, it does sound fun. Like I know a little bit more than I did before. It does seem like there's a lot of, I need adrenaline for me.
Yes.
That's why I chose ICU.
Right.
It was ICU or ER. ICU is a little more controlled.
Right.
That's why I chose it. You're like, girl, you don't know what you're about to get into. I feel like I have the vibes of an ER nurse.
You do.
I could just like flow with them.
100%.
Like the personality's there, but I need I need my lines straight.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
When y'all bring up the patient and all this stuff, so I'm like, I'm not mad at you. I get it. But this stresses me out. So I know 100%. I need to be somewhere a little controlled.
Right.
And Anna the nurse, has told me,
love you,
that L&D can be. Like, you can have some adrenaline and crazy things happen, and it's still a little more controlled.
Correct.
So I'm like,
yes. Also, there's, like, more monitoring, like, less surprises. Of course, the surprises happen, within seconds, especially just as being a mom who delivered once, twice, three times. Who knows?
I know a few of these
No,
things.
it's just, like, everything changes within the minute. Like, I'm doing great. All of a sudden, decel of the baby, I'm like... So, it's just...
It can be chaotic.
It can be chaotic.
It can be chaotic.
But also a good team.
Yes.
Because the L&D team really, it does matter. Because someone misses something, someone doesn't do their job, you change shifts at 7 a.m. or whatever it is, you're carrying everything to the next person. It's hard. Yeah.
And speaking of teams, earlier when we were talking about like new grads, bringing them under our wing, something I always teach my new grads or students is talk to the other specialties, not just nurses.
Right.
Become friends with your RTs, your OTs, your PTs,
100%.
your ultrasound techs, your transporters. All these people and anyone I forgot to mention, we're all a team.
100%.
It's so weird to me. Like, I love the little jokes back and forth. Like, lab called me in, my blood sample's hemolyzed, and I have to flipping redraw it again. That pisses me off, but it's not their fault, really. Right. It's a little joke. ER nurses and ICU nurses, it's a joke. But at the end of the day, I'm like, can we just be nice? Can we just work as a team?
Yes, it's everywhere. Drama weird. Is everywhere. And a lot of, times there's like, people saying, yeah, ultrasound techs and nurses don't get along also. But
do you have stories? I don't have any personal stories.
I personally didn't. The only thing that I sometimes always felt, some kind of like sourness, I guess, is because like we don't touch the patient as far as like moving things around as much. Like if I do an ultrasound, like, a portable ultrasound in the ICU, I don't want to do something that I don't want to. You see, this is the perfect scenario. ICU nurse. I come in, there's a shit ton of like wires everywhere, all the leads, all the stuff. Like, I don't want to mess it up. So I would always ask for help for me to push the machine by the bedside, just to kind of, so I can scan right next to the patient. And a lot of times I would get the, and I would be like, I just don't want to mess up. I don't want to be responsible for killing this person by accident. Like, I really
pulling something out, making them bleed.
Right. I just want you here while I set up to make sure that I can do it. Sometimes things are open. Sometimes, this is where ultrasound and blood comes into play. Yeah. Like, I just want, and so sometimes because I feel like their work is really hard sometimes, and some days in ICU especially, it's such a, intensive care, obviously. Yeah. I feel like it comes with frustration and a lot of that. Even like an ultrasound tech who could have done this easily, they won't look into like why I want to do it, or, if I had to do a NICU ultrasound, we do a lot of preemies when we're in the hospital, the nurses would be like, you didn't wash your hands fully. And I really did. But like, just for spite, just to say to wash your hands again and to like, I've dealt with these kind of things, but it's weird to me. I never, this is where, personality comes into place. I don't give it a stage. I don't give it, let me do my job and get out of here. Like, and that's it.
Yep, that's how I feel now. Like and I have not been a nurse that long. I'm coming up on 5 years. Right. I don't know everything. I will preach that, when I'm a 50-year-old nurse. Like, I don't know everything.
100%.
But also, like, I find it weird, the micromanaging between adults. And I'm like, they're an adult. I trust them until they give me a reason not to. In healthcare, I trust them to do their own job.
Correct.
But like, like when X-ray comes by and they need me to hold the patient so they can put something under, I've seen nurses huff and puff at them. Yes. I'm like, can you stop?
Yes, I needed help with an arm because I'm ultrasounding this part. I can't scan with the probe and that, but
it's weird.
It's
stop it. Please stop.
Yeah, just it's not in, guys.
It's not in. So I had another question. Do you ever have patients lie to you?
Yeah.
And I'm not pooping on patients right now.
No.
It's just, it's funny to me, and I want to bring this up because we have patients lie to us all the time.
Of course.
And I don't care what the reason you're here for. I don't care if you're on drugs, if you are an alcoholic, if you're withdrawing, if you shoved something up your booty. I don't care why you're here, but I need to know.
So I can help you.
Yes, 100%. And so I was like, I wonder what people would lie to you about, because you're in an outpatient clinic.
Right, but we still get a lot of lies.
You still get the same things.
Yeah, a lot of lies that cause drama in the room sometimes, and it just depends. Like, this is where my skits come from, because it's 11 years of experience of things, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I'll start with the littlest lie. I think a lot of patients don't think we see their bladder, and a lot of the doctors prefer an ultrasound on top, which requires them to fill their bladder, whether they're not, active yet, they're teenagers, whatever it is, or that's just what the doctor wants, two exams. So they'll say, yeah, I filled my bladder, I gotta go pee, and I'll scan and the bladder is empty. And I know for a fact that you didn't drink. Yeah. It's like they think we don't see it. They also think a lot of times that we ask to drink to hydrate. So maybe they don't understand the process. Maybe this is where also communication comes. A doctor should communicate what they're ordering, but it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes they don't listen. So so that's the littlest lie. But I'll get the lie that they go to the hospital to check the pregnancy because they don't want to wait for that. So that happens a lot of times, and then they won't tell us they had the ultrasound. Oh. So I work at a like an office that's a part of a hospital, like, you know, without
so you
saying.
See the records?
So we see the records. So, you know, I just, that would help me, because if something's wrong and something was right when you went to the hospital. So I always try to understand, do you lie because you think I'm not going to want to do the ultrasound because you had it? Yeah. Maybe some offices work like that, but that wouldn't be the case. But also I feel like a lot of times they want to know, it comes from a place of anxiety, and that's where I try not to judge. Yeah. Like, I want to know if this tech is going to say the same thing that the other tech said. Yep. So that's the little lies. And then the larger lies are not even about me. It's about the relationship. So a lot of, you know, times moms did the do when they weren't supposed to with someone else. And the current partner comes and they lie about their last period, so the baby can be dated for when
the sexual encounter was.
What, right. So, or to make it, you know, the dad was not in town and they did the do with someone else, to kind of push the pregnancy further. But again, a lack of education, because I'm going to measure you now and I'm going to know exactly how old the baby is. If it's within the 13 weeks, it's the most accurate. Like up to 13 weeks, my measurements are going to be like, I can tell you like everything, you know. Of course, we're not God, you know. I don't know when the egg came out and when you ovulated exactly, but you're not a month ahead, right? Okay, so that's guaranteed. I've
always wondered that. So like my friends in L&D, they seem to have some of the same like types of skits that you have with like baby mommy drama or baby daddy drama, and I don't get to see that. Right. Typically, we get our own family drama, right? But I don't get to see that, and I always find it just so interesting, because I'm like, if you would just tell your healthcare worker the truth, we don't have to tell you information in front of your loved one. Right. You can request to have it by yourself. Right. So I just am like, you know, I know, you know. Yeah. Right. Like we're on the same wavelength, but we can't say it out loud.
100%. That's happened with me with teens a lot too.
Oh yeah. Where I can see that.
I can't blame them for lying. You know, the mom's right there because she has to be. Yeah. Can she ask for her to be out? Yes, she can. But then they know. And then there's more drama of, why do you want me out?
That was
you know,
me as a teen. I was like, nah, I really would rather her not be here.
I know. But not every mom is supportive in that aspect. Yeah. Like, I feel like, you know, I have a teen now. He's 14. If he wants to go to the doctor and wants me to step out and answer, that's fine. As long as you have a safe person. As a mom, I've learned to not to obsess about, I want to know everything. As long as there's someone I can trust and you're telling someone, and I always communicate it, if it's my brother who they have a good friendship with, if it's your dad, if it's your, you know, someone that your uncle somewhere, a medical provider, just, you know, they lie because they don't have the trust. And that's something I really am so sad of, because I had a really good relationship with my mom growing up, and I told her before I was going to do the do, she took me to the doctor. Oof. Like, it was taken with grace, and because in reality they're going to do it anyways.
They are. Wouldn't you rather they be open and we're humans? That's the natural, that's what happens as we get older. I did not have that relationship with my mom. I hid everything from my mom. And, you know, to this day, we're having issues because of it. But I will never forget the day that I told her I was sexually active, and I had been sexually active for a long time. It was with my now husband. Okay. We were moving in together. This is so off topic, but I feel like it's...
100%.
We're moving in together. Yes. And she was, like, very upset about us moving in together. And she's like, you know, are you going to have separate rooms? First of all,
yes, Mom.
I was like, I straight up said, and my husband was in the room, I said, do you want me to lie to you, or you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And she was like, yeah. Are you on birth control? Yeah. I was like, yes. And that was it. Yeah. I was like, dang, I wish I would have done this a long time ago, honestly.
It takes time.
But we get teens, we get young adults, I would say. Every now and then we'll get a teen in the adult ICU. But I could see, like, why they're lying. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I don't blame you. Right. I wish that you could tell the truth in this scenario, but it's not your fault, really.
So I do this thing where after whether they lied to me or not, you know, whatever that conversation that took place, I try not to ask questions, even barely at all. Even though if I know I need a transvaginal ultrasound, I will take her to the bathroom and I will ask her, we have like this little hallway that's like alone, and I'll offer to take her to the bathroom, and I'll tell the mom, we'll be right back. And then I ask her, is everything good? Like, is there anything you want to tell me? You know, nothing's going to be, it's just between us. It's the law to keep your, you know, and then she'll tell me, like, a lot of times she'll be like, I just don't want my mom to know. And I'll be like, 100%. I just need to know if your mom knows, because if I'm offering a transvaginal, that means that your mom will understand that you've had intercourse before. So we'll avoid it and we'll move on. Not necessarily that I find a pregnancy in every teen.
Right.
No, it's just for other things. I need to do another exam or not, you know? So I try to make them feel comfortable. It's so hard.
That's actually really smart. It's a great way to get them by themselves is to take them to the bathroom and then
gain their trust too.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to come back for other things too.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of side note, but do you guys deal with egg donation stuff?
So that would be more like IVF facilities. Okay. But I mean, it's definitely the same protocol, just in a different office of like checking the follicles. But I do deal, not something, I don't want to call it similar, but as far as like donating anything or, you know, just doing something like that with the in vitro, I see a lot of surrogates, you know. I deal with, you know, seeing moms who are caring for someone else. And I feel like that's definitely amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's all the process of following the follicles and stimulating the ovaries. And I've had someone who worked with me who've done it. So we've done it for her in the office. So I was a part of the process, and it had a great outcome too, which is such a rewarding. This is a part of where, you know, we see people who struggle to get pregnant, and then we see them during, you know, their pregnancy, and then with their third, and, you know, all like I've been there for 10 years. I've watched them through everything. And it's like such a rewarding part that your skill was able to assist in that kind of journey. And that's the best part of OBGYN, really. Yeah.
I've donated eggs 3 times. And to be completely transparent, the first 2 times I didn't really connect with what I was doing. I needed money. And that sounds so bad. I was a young adult though.
You don't understand.
I didn't understand the impact of it. Until the 3rd time I donated, I got a note, and I still have it, of so they pick me, but I don't know who they are.
Right.
And so I don't know if they're in the office with me at the time, you know, all those things. Right. And she gives me this, I get a gift whenever I'm out, and it had this note in it, and it was just her explaining like their trials that they've been through trying to get pregnant and all this stuff, and how it was life-changing. And that was when I was like, oh,
you changed someone's life.
Yeah. Yes. And it clicked for me, and I was like, okay, like I get it now. And so it's funny though, my friends will be like, you have kids out there somewhere. Like, I mean, I don't know my kids, but it's just interesting. I'm like, yeah, that, you know, there could potentially be a lot of my DNA out there, which is really interesting. And I just didn't know if you'd ever dealt with that, because.
So just from like that coworker, you know, and I've definitely met a lot of people who did donate and go through it, and, you know, personally and not personally. And a lot of times they deal with like later on in life, like that thought of, oh my God. But I always like to say to look at it, because we can look at it either way. Yeah, you have kids out there, or you donated DNA. Yeah. Because in reality, like, you still need the other person to have. It's not like you're a full kid. You donated cells, whatever we can think about, just to make yourself feel better about it. Because you can get deep into thinking like, oh my God, my kids are out there. Yeah. But the benefit is so much greater. It is. What you've done for so many families that I personally know that needed an egg donor.
Yeah. It's just cool. I get a lot of questions. I don't talk about my egg donation a lot, just because I didn't know enough about it at the time. And I don't like telling people to go do it, because it's very hard on your body, and the medications we have to use. It's still a great thing if it fits your situation, right? But you should do your own research. So I don't like to tell people about it.
And there's complications. Hyperstimulations of the ovaries is something we see.
Oh my gosh, I gained like 6 pounds in 2 days, and my stomach, it looked like I was pregnant. One of my friends had an acute kidney injury. There are complications that can happen, right? So it's like, I'm like, you do your own research. 100%. I do not want to tell people to go do that, but it is something I did, and it's cool. To me, I really don't think about they're my kids out there. I'm like, there's just some of my DNA floating out there. It's just interesting.
Exactly how I would look at it if I ever did it. Yeah. And I always said, like, since before I had kids, that if I was to do that, or even to be a surrogate, like, I would do it for someone that I would know personally, and I would do it because in general, I really had good pregnancies. So people are like, why don't you want to have more? Like, I love who I have right now.
Yes,
I love my
exactly.
3 kids. The reward that comes after being pregnant comes with more, than just being pregnant.
Yeah.
So I always said, if someone, my family, relatives or best friends, I would do it for them, because I feel like the reward is just greater.
Yeah.
And if you are a good pregnant person, because, people have complications.
Absolutely.
I mean, I gained a shit ton of weight, but that's, 80 pounds with my first one.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's, and yeah, I did go lower with the second and third, because I okay, what the hell?
Yeah.
I can't let that happen ever again. But at the same time, I was fine.
Yeah.
I learned to just enjoy it and eat, and I'll lose it later.
Yeah.
I every time a woman stresses out about her weight gain, I'm like, hi, my name's Natalie, and I gained 80 pounds. And I show them my picture, and it's like, you're gonna get back to yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't do any kind of tummy tucks or anything. I know everybody's different, and it's not perfect. I have the stretch marks, I have the looser skin, but you brought children into the world, and it's so much better.
That's how one of my best friends is. She was like, if you don't want kids because you don't want to be pregnant, I'll do it for you. Yeah. I was like, that's not why, but thank you.
Yeah.
That's a huge,
I feel the same. If one of my friends really needed it, I would have been there for them.
Yeah.
Definitely. But they all have kids now, so we're good.
Oh, yeah. Thank God. Thank God you've been really.
Yes.
So you brought up that there's really rewarding things, obviously, with your job.
Yes.
There's some sad things that you deal with, but then there's rewarding things. And could you tell us, what is it like announcing for someone that they're pregnant?
Oh my God.
For people that want to be pregnant, I guess, because I bet it could go either way.
Yes, but that's also when it comes into place where when the patient, for a while, where they come for their annuals and they need ultrasounds for their history. And a lot of times my favorite are the surprise pregnancies.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, of course, there is some, women who really don't want it right now. But after realizing and after thinking, I'm pregnant, they're happy. I feel like I also deal with a lot of women who tell me right there and then they don't want it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, and I respect every person's decision always. But the surprise ones, when I know that they've been trying,
Aww.
I feel it makes my entire, I don't know, month, year, whatever it is, because it's just telling them, and they're not believing it. They're like, what, where do you they just want to see, and they want to know, and they want to know if it's for sure. Is it 100%? When I'm looking at the baby, it's just that's
it right there.
And then when the dad's crying,
honestly, that would get me.
We cry all the time as women, but to see a man cry, that's just
special.
Yeah, it's just at weddings. I always say my favorite part is seeing the groom cry.
I'm always, as she's walking, I'm staring at the groom.
I cry on an average. My brother-in-law always makes fun of me. He's like, is this cry number 3 of the week? Because I always say, on average, I cry about 3 times a week. It could be something happy, it can be sad. I'm a Cancer, so I am an empath, and I cry. But to see a man cry, it's just
it's special.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. So that, yeah. And then I cry because of my job too, as far as the sad things too. I mean, I try to remain strong. It depends on the situation, but I'm going to lie if I say so many times when the patient leaves, I just break down, because I know what it took for her to get pregnant. I know it's just, everything comes with a story, and it's just not just a patient or just a scan.
That's such,
It's hard.
I also feel some people get scared, at least in nursing, to cry in front of the patients or with their patients.
Right.
And crying is an emotion.
Right.
It's natural. It's normal. Right. And every time I've cried with or by a patient, I've never had someone be like, how dare you, or anything. They actually appreciate it. They feel more human.
Right.
So I always tell new grads, they're like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to cry. I'm like, cry.
Right.
Who cares?
So what? You have emotions, and you're showing compassion, and it's better than
robot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I've been in places where, at the hospital, where I knew it was happening and I had to be a robot, and I hated not having the ability to show my emotion, to say, even within an OBGYN office, when you have a miscarriage that is found out in the office by ultrasound, a lot of times, if you're in an office that you can't give results, that patient goes back to the waiting room not knowing what happens, and that 5 minutes that she's waiting to be taken back to the doctor is the longest 5 minutes, and it's awful. And especially when moms have a feeling of what's happening, especially when it's a fetal demise later on. They know they come for decreased fetal movement, and that's what happened. Not thinking that they need to go to the ER. Oh, I have a visit today anyways, let me go, and so I feel the compassion.
Sorry,
no, sure. I know.
I gotta turn my.
I get it. Maybe I'll do it too. Okay, now I feel it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
right,
Thanks for reminding me. But yeah, I feel like that emotion, you can't be numb to these things.
No.
And telling them what they're seeing on the screen, you know that they know what they're looking at this point, and they ask questions. And I try to give them the most I can without giving them the most I can, you know, because I sometimes can't give you like why this happened. And a lot of times, why did this happen? And
I think that's what's hard for me is I have had a friend, I don't know the term actually, is fetal demise. Will you explain what that is in case listeners don't know?
It's just to be as, you know, simple as possible, a later stage. Because when it's an embryo, when it's still small, it's a miscarriage. Yeah. And when it's later, it's a fetal demise. Yeah.
I've had a friend that happened to, and like she was due the next week. Yeah. And I'm just like, how do you even, you know, the question of why, like when we can't answer it, that I think that's hard for me, even on my side of things, where I'm like, I don't know why this patient passed away, or what happened exactly. That's hard.
So a lot of times, you know, when my friends and sister-in-laws were pregnant and they were wondering about certain things, you know, if it's in the beginning, like 12 weeks or before you feel movements, like what if something's not right? Like how can you handle not having an ultrasound every week? Because you only have like 3 ultrasounds sometimes your whole pregnancy.
Oh my God.
So I always say that that's where you got to have, obviously, faith. You have to have faith. No matter what you believe in, you have to have faith that everything's going to be okay. You also, when your baby is 7 weeks, we can't go in there and fix the baby if something's wrong with it. So that part you have to put in your head that this is inevitable. Whatever is happening, it's happening. And then later on, you have to go with your intuition. A lot of times, you know, people feel a decreased fetal movement and they don't know if this is normal or not. Don't be afraid to harass your doctor. It's better to do that than to, you know, we don't look at it like that. We understand. If someone doesn't understand your fear and your anxiety, and I deal with a lot of my followers asking me like, how can I get another ultrasound? Communicate with your provider. Tell them you have anxiety, that you cannot handle this life anymore with this. Go as much as you can to get that ultrasound. Who's going to say no to this? If they say no to this, change your doctor.
I was about to say, change your provider.
Change your provider. Same with if someone tells you you're for sure infertile, change your doctor. Don't stop until you find out, because people tell me, oh, I've had PCOS for 5 years. I was told I was infertile. Yes, if you open the book, it's going to cause infertility. That's what it says. But there's something, change your doctor. Like there's everything, like you just got to find, you got to find the solution.
You have to advocate for yourself.
100%. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, no, I get you. Cause I think, even like with nursing, a lot of people, I don't know. I think a lot of the general public are scared to tell us things that they really think because of a different nurse that made them feel stupid, or a different provider that made them feel one way. But not all of us are that way. Right. And a lot of us do care for you. Right. So if you're not getting the care you think you deserve, and you do deserve quality care, change your provider, ask for a new nurse, ask for a new doctor.
Right. And that's what happened to like a lot of my patients that moved from other places, you know, that they were like, my ultrasound tech was just not, you know, I never felt like she was like loving what she does as a job. Because it does in every career, even someone who does windows. And every career, there's someone who's bitter about their job. And you shouldn't deal with that. And if it's an office that you like, then complain. I hate to be the one to say complain about ultrasound techs, but you shouldn't go through that. You only go through this experience a few times in your life. If you're pregnant, or if you, God forbid, going through something worse, you know, you want the care that you want. Don't change your office because of one person in there that is making your life miserable. No.
I know. I'm all for, I used to say like, I could never tattle on someone, you know, but actually at the end of the day, I could, because like you're an adult, It's your responsibility. If your nurse, ultrasound tech, whoever your provider is treating you poorly, and you know they've got stuff going on in their life, I understand. But at the end of the day, these patients are here for something going on in their life. You got to put it aside.
You have to.
You have to.
Also for your coworkers. I don't need to go through this because you know, coming from someone who had like a lot going on in their life, like recently with a lot of things that I leave it all at the door, and you know a lot of the stuff that's been happening, but like leave it at the door. It's nobody's problem. It's nobody's fault. And the people that are close to you know what's going on, and it's just like you gotta separate.
Yeah.
As an adult, you have to separate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's nobody's fault.
Well, is there anything else you would want to tell someone wanting to go into your career, or like you've said a lot. If you are hating your life really, and your career, change it. A lot of similarities I'm seeing. Oh, sorry, I jumped too soon. Okay. Similarities with nursing and ultrasound. Do you know of any? Because I don't think we actually hit on it.
I know. I feel like it's just like really patient care. I think like the logistics of things, a lot of it, but like I feel like we're so different in so many things because of your work life in general too. The hours. I mean, yeah, if I worked at the hospital, I also do 12 hours, but my job is to see the patient and they leave and I might not see them again. You care for patients sometimes for days, especially in the ICU, maybe more. So I feel like the long care is always more like, I don't know if it takes a toll on you or not, but it has to be, because it's longer term dealing with this kind of person that's dealing with something very tough, or, in ICU. I feel like with us, we don't take, other than the first year of anxiety, I don't take my job home as far as like I saw that patient and that's it. I don't have to like go back to that care or continue care the next day. That's like really the only repeat that I will see versus you seeing a patient for a few days. And the medications, your plan of care for patients is way different. I feel like we're so different, but we're just similar that we both care for patients, and we both have to go to the doctors and to report things, and we both have to be compassionate and just like patient care. It's really all it is. Which is great. And we wear scrubs, so immediately I look like a nurse. Because I wear scrubs.
It's like the whole hospital wears scrubs.
I know. It's
you
different.
Could be anything, but I guess just people assume if you're in the hospital, there's a doctor and there's a nurse. But there's a lot of other specialties helping you.
But honestly, for their defense, until you deal with it, you don't. Like, I got exposed to ultrasound at a very young age because my sister was pregnant. She's 6 years older than me. I was still in high school, and I was like, this is such a interesting career. That's how I got to it. And like, I would have known unless I had an ultrasound. And I did have an ultrasound because I had ovarian cysts since I was 14. But that baby interaction, I never I thought a nurse was doing that cyst ultrasound for me. See, this is why I don't judge, because I was there too. I was like, who is this, the doctor? I get called doctor too for many times. Like, doctor, does it look okay? Like, I would love that credit, but I just want to,
I gotta tell you right now.
I gotta break the news to you, but you're gonna see the doctor in 5 minutes. So I feel like it's just like we all have one goal. Patient care, making sure we're all a part of it. Because I helped you knowing what's going on. Until the doctor knows what's going on, you know that you can't give this patient this medicine because I found this. That would be a bad idea. I found a clot in this person's vein. You can't give them their blood thinners. just like a bunch of things that I can like think of on the top of my head, that we're all one team. So
that's good. No, that's really good. And I'm really glad you came on here, because I really do get tons of people asking me, if I don't want to be a nurse, what should I do? I still want to work in healthcare. This might be a great option.
Great option.
Seriously.
Great option. And it's when you come from nursing, I feel like it's so much easier too. I've known a few nurses that did it, that they just, they don't have to take the prerequisites anymore. You just wait to be called. I waited a year in the list.
Oh, wow.
So you can continue, for a little bit, just a little bit more, and then start the program. And honestly, it's going to be a breeze.
At least you have an out. Like, you just get on the wait list, you continue working until you're in school.
I did retail before ultrasound. I was a store manager for 9 West.
Okay, and I bet that there are similarities there too.
Customer service.
That's what we're doing.
It's patient care, 100%. And that's why, like, I knew that I would be fine. If I dealt with people who hated their shoes, I can deal with that. Like, I swear, it's bad. Retail is hard.
The way people treat people in general, but like retail, your waiters and waitresses, the airport people, y'all need to take a breath sometimes.
I know. I mean, the irate patients that I would get is if their bladder is full and they gotta pee, and I get it. If I have to pee, fun fact, in school, I had to hold my bladder for 2 months when we did OBGYN every single day so we can practice on each other. So there's no one who knows more than holding their bladder for 2 full months every single day. Yes, for that course of OBGYN. We have to learn on each other.
I mean, that makes sense. So I would have never thought about that. I hold my bladder, but not for any other reason that I don't have a bathroom break.
Yeah.
And then I get UTIs, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yes. And after 3 kids, I swear, I always make fun of when my friends are pregnant. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I go before you because I don't think I can hold it as much as you can. No, because it's just, so I get it when they're irate because of that. I get it.
Yeah,
we try to be on time. Ultrasound is usually very much on time because of that, because we have them hold their bladder. But
things happen.
Yeah, we are the first to see them.
Yeah,
because so when you come to an OBGYN office, they see me first, then they see the doctor. So it's my job to make them feel good, you know.
Well, and you clearly love your job.
I do.
Okay, so now if there's anything else you want to tell people about going into the field, or if you're already in the field and you're feeling lost. I mean, I know we already hit on this, but just to summarize it for people.
I think that ultrasound is a great change of career, especially if you like healthcare in general. I feel like the stress will be less than nursing, just because I've seen you guys work. It's not just because I say it. And I know a lot of techs are going to say, but it's so stressful. It is stressful. But when you compare it to nursing and you know, everything that comes around it, I feel like it's just, and it all comes into work environment.
Yeah.
And every place that you are working in, every career, you got to make sure you're in a very healthy work environment, not toxic. And that's it. And I feel like ultrasound made me a better person, made me understand about everything more. Like, I feel like I am the doctor of the family. Yeah. I am the doctor of the friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because with experience, you learn every aspect. And like, it made me grow as a person too, because it's just like a good career for scheduling as a mom too. Like, you can pick just to touch on what you can do as an ultrasound tech. You don't have to be just a sonographer working in an office or a hospital. You can even teach ultrasound, and you don't need an education degree. You can work at a university and teach ultrasound and have that schedule. You're so flexible with your schedule, because because ever since, social media took off, I decreased my hours. Even as a department supervisor, I work 32 hours a week, and I don't have to work as much. I make it work with my children. I still volunteer for my children's stuff. I'm still able to be present, where a lot of times in nursing, I always hear that it's so hard for them to find someone to cover and things like that, because we can just block that schedule. Especially if I know ahead of time there's no schedule, no patients that are scheduled, I can block it and it's fine. Nothing happens. So when I call out, God forbid, I never have that like hard feeling where I'm like, oh my God, I'm canceling on patients, because there's always another person, or it depends on where you work, but it's just a very the most flexible career that I've heard in,
with kids specifically too.
Yes.
That's really cool. I didn't think about it that way, because honestly, I jumped into nursing for the flexibility of schedule, but it's not the same type of flexibility.
Correct.
It's like, I still get 4 days off, but I might not know when those 4 days are.
Right.
And I feel like people with kids, I'm like, oh, that really sucks. Like, you miss your kids.
Yeah, I lived that working at the hospital. Yeah. I said bye to them at 7 a.m. and I see them at 7 p.m. before they go to bed.
Yes. And so, like, you could miss a lot with your kids.
Yes, but we all do what we got to do, too. Yeah. And in the beginning, I did it. And I even went to school as a mom. My son was, like, 3 months old when I started the program. God. And, I literally had to do it. And I wouldn't be able to do it without a support system, I always say.
Yes.
Find a support system. So if you're a mom and you're interested, find your support system. It doesn't have to be a partner. In my case, it was. My husband became a mom and a dad in seconds, because I couldn't be there. I either studied, I either did clinicals. I also couldn't work because it was so much. So he had to take on more work and take on, all the responsibility of my son, most of it. So I was absent for a little bit, but it's worth it, because it's
a short amount of time for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's why I tell a lot of people, I think with nursing as well, people are like, I think I'm too old, or, I'm too old to go back to school. Yeah. You're actually not. And I actually do think people with children and people that are older do better than young students, because they have their why.
Yes.
It's right in front of them. Like my kids, or you're older and you're like, I needed a change in my career and I know exactly what I want now.
Right.
When I was younger, the reason I literally jumped majors like 4 or 5 times, because I had no clue what I wanted.
Right.
So I'm always like, if you're older and you're thinking, I don't know if I could, you could.
100%.
Definitely could.
100%. And I recommend it because time flies anyways.
Yes.
It goes by. So go to school, get educated. Even if you choose not to do it, it comes with such a good reward. And I promise you will pursue that career because it's great.
You're kind of making me wish I would have like looked in.
It's never too late.
Yeah, we just said it's never too late.
You can live with me.
I'll keep you guys.
I have a dry erase board. I'll teach you the cross-sectional anatomy 2 seconds.
I'll just move in with you.
Yes.
I'll be like I like being the fun aunt.
Okay.
So like I could play that role.
My kids would love you.
I love that. Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks
for letting me come to your house.
Yes, thanks for coming.
And where can people find you?
So on Instagram, Natalie Avni, TikTok, Natalie Avni, YouTube, Natalie Avni. So it's very simple and easy. Yeah. Easy. And I'm available to answer anybody's questions. I'll be available, especially when we put this podcast, so I can answer you guys' questions.
I'll have her social media linked in the description. And just thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.